Okay, see you.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
Did you shut this? We're gonna go back up.
Cubes or milk
Yeah, we have to
everywhere.
get your coats, right?
Did you shut this?
Everywhere.
Ross, there's no smoking in this building.
There's an airstray there.
There's no smoking in the building. Those ashtrays been there for years.
Can I have a couple of spots?
Hello.
That's what it was.
Okay, good. Even just keep your hand on it to make sure that that thing is really firmly in there. I never got a good Y cord. They sold me this gold-plated Y cord at Radio Shack. I figured, I could always sell the gold.
Okay, you're working now.
Okay,
Okay, here we go.
so let's start the question over again by
Right.
asking if
But I
Now, you
I
know,
would
of
count
course,
5 or something.
what we're taking out of this is just you, not his question.
right.
So,
we'll never hear the
Let him
question.
finish
And I'll count
before
5.
starting, and then try and answer it in a complete
Sentence.
sentence.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the question is, do you believe there is enough interest in handball to warrant covering it with a video camera?
Well, in 1992, interest is created. It's not something that comes up from the bottom. There's a tremendous involvement with the media and the public that's very different than previous times. When you looked at the general interest and what people wanted to experience in, let's say, 1930 or even 1950, the media hadn't created the interest in things. But right now, you can create an interest in a product. For example, the Ninja Turtles. You can make millions of dollars with aggressively creating an interest. So, to answer your question in a direct way, interest can be created where there is no interest. A lot of people know very little about handball, but in the space of a month, it could be known by millions of people, and there could be an involvement of millions of people in handball if the proper approach of marketing and the media time were optimal.
Now, how would you go about approaching videotaping handball games
In the marketing sense or in the shooting sense?
in the marketing sense?
Well, at this point, an awful lot of the country is cabled, and there's also satellite TV. If our company saw it was to their advantage to get behind this, it would be relatively cheap, as we both know, to put together a tape that would present all the elegance, all the beauty, all the ferocity and excitement of handball, and offer it to a public that is larger than 120 million people who would be watching this. And inside of a month, the interest that would accrue to handball would also accrue to the sponsor.
So to shoot this, to capture this ferocity that you speak about, does it require special techniques or special cameras, or can it be done with just regular equipment that any layman would have?
Well, as we stand in 1992, the equipment that a layman has is not too different than the equipment that a specialist has. You can produce professional program. The resolutions can be fine. You can have a 640 by I think 380 resolution on Super VHS, and if you're willing to spend $1,500 for a camera, a layman can produce excellent quality. In fact, this tape is being taped on that kind of production mechanism. That's not the problem. The problem is that the two people who shoot the game should be players, because only a player can anticipate the kind of tight framing that will probably be needed in a few seconds because of the nature of where the ball is and where the players are. So if it's shot by two cameras and the two cameramen are both players, you can get a wonderful, beautifully framed example of the ferocity and the elegance of this game.
So 2 cameras at a minimum?
You can shoot it with one camera. I've been shooting it with one camera, and I think I've gotten some great footage.
Yeah, but 2 cameras to get a more complete picture of what's going on.
Well, the first camera should have all of the excitement of the game. The second camera should shoot an establishing shot to let the people know in a larger way where the game is, and also the fact that there's a wall. But the first camera should be shot from somewhere around the short line, because that's where a lot of the action is. An awful lot of the players are around the short line, and there should be a very tight framing of the players themselves. They're usually pretty close to each other. If a shot is hit high, the camera can pan in a backwards direction to pick up the shot, and then go back quickly to pick up the play, because very rarely is a volley ended on a high shot. It's ordinarily ended on a low shot, fairly close to the wall, fairly close to the short line. So the person who's shooting this is going to be aware that his basic area of shooting is going to be around the short line or even closer to the wall.
Now, you're making productions in which you're shooting the footage and then editing the footage at another time and then broadcasting that footage for television. Would the techniques be any different if you were shooting live for an audience that would be witnessing what is being shot live?
Sure, there would be a switcher. There would be 2 cameras and a switcher and a director who would be deciding. He would be sitting behind the switcher and deciding the shot that he wanted from moment to moment. But it's still very easy. It can be done with a portable switcher and 2 cameras. It's quite easy. I think you would probably need a truck so that the information is cabled into the mechanism that delivers the material out of the remote into the station. I think they do this with a truck. But the equipment as it stands nowadays is pretty much portable, and it could be done with relative ease.
Could it be done on a cloudy day as well as a sunny day?
It's preferable on a cloudy day.
Preferable.
The light is more equalized, and you don't have the problem of either shooting away from the sun or into the sun, which is a big problem in handball.
Oh, it is.
Well, if you're shooting at the sun, the information that you're getting is interfered with because there's no front lighting, because the sun is behind the players and you're shooting in front of the players. If you're shooting away from the sun, you may find yourself in the middle of the place where you want the light, and it depends where the sun is. Also, if the sun is very low, it's different. If the sun is very high, it's different. You also have to think about the shadows and where they are. Preferable is a cloudy, bright summer day where the light is equalized, and you can get an excellent picture with not a lot of shadow. I found, to my frustration, that shooting into the sun and interviewing somebody, it looks good on the viewfinder, it looks good in real life, and when you look at the thing, you've got practically a silhouette.
What about zooming in and out during the course of action? Does that pose any technical problems?
No, it's very easy if you have the right camera. I have a very good zoom. I've used Albert Apuzzi's camera, who's a premier player, and his zoom is very slow. It doesn't work very well, and it means that your technique is confined basically to panning. But if you have the camera that I have, the Panasonic 450, the zoom is quite good, and I don't even use the zoom at the side of the camera. I use the power zoom. I keep my technique as simple as possible because the thing I want to concentrate on is framing the action. I don't want to be thinking about those other things.
What about ground level versus up over the players?
Well, if you shoot from up over the players, you're running into the problem of shooting the tops of their heads. I mean, it's the same problem in shooting in video. There are times when you may want a shot like that as an establishing shot to show where everybody is, as a long shot or a medium shot. But when you want a close shot, you want it at ground level. Maybe, let's say, at the most 6 feet off the ground, because the thing that you want to get is the motion of the body and the expression on the faces of the players. The higher up you get, the less you're going to get of that, and the more hair you're going to get, if they have hair on their head.
So what you're saying is that ideally it should be shot from various angles.
No, actually, I think 2 cameras can do the job. I really think that the way they shoot a tennis match or the way they shoot at almost anything is very, very poor. They usually have 3 cameras in a mixer, and for some reason, the person who is the director is always very fussy. He probably isn't a player. He doesn't have any idea that there is a fluidity in these games. I don't care what the game is. The only game that I think that is shot well is football, because it requires a fussiness. You've got to get in there in the line and shoot those blocks and everything. But in handball, you can achieve an effect that's analogous to the actual effect of seeing the sport, which is that the viewer himself or herself is in a particular space. Every time you switch from camera to camera, it's a switching of the spatial interstices, if you'll excuse the expression, of the viewer, so that the viewer is here, is there. That's very disconcerting to the concentration on a game. If you place the viewer in one space, generally speaking, and you produce a fluid tracking shot, as Orson Welles always did in his movies, you produce the optimal effect because it's analogous to actually viewing the game. Your fussy 3-camera work of sports that you find in commercial TV is absolutely destructive to the viewing of most games.
Well, I found the viewing of a handball game from one set angle to be tedious in time.
Well, I said 2 cameras is preferable.
So you would go from one to the other.
But not very much. I would only establish the space with the camera behind, establish where the players are and where the wall is. And then for the actual action, I would use the camera that's at the short line, and then I would go back and refer to the establishing camera to show the in between the action, and occasionally maybe show the ball hit the wall and where the players are. You know, that would be a long shot or a medium shot, but the eye is so much better than the camera. After you've been involved with cameras for a while, you have enormous respect for God. It can almost make you believe in the existence of God if, in fact, you are skeptical about these things, because the camera is so much better than our machines, and our machines are wonderful. A camera cannot pick up easily any kind of a forward or a backward kind of movement. It can't stay in focus. Our eyes can. We can pick up all kinds of detail from far away. A camera can't. So to make up for these imperfections, the camera has to stay as close as possible to have as much information packed into the frame as possible. And in a game like handball in particular, to be able to zoom back and to pan and to move as quickly as possible as the action changes and as necessity calls for another framing and another composition of shots.
You're the only one that I know of right now who's videotaping handball games. Do you consider yourself a pioneer in this respect?
No, I consider myself a dilettante.
A dilettante. But I mean, can you see, obviously you believe in what you're doing because you think that handball is a game worthy of being captured on videotape, But can you see more people doing this and the competition becoming greater and the techniques becoming more daring?
It certainly is possible. I feel that certain things that could be picked up by the technology and absolutely change the face of how people view either games or sports or other things. I've always felt, for example, that if the publishing industry had any sense at all, they should have published a lot of accessible volumes of poetry, because they're out there. They could have made millions and even billions of dollars. But the people in the industry are usually cowards. They don't think. And comparably, the person who decides that he wants to put an enormous amount of liquid cash behind handball is going to be a very brave person. And you don't find a lot of courageous people in commercial industries of any kind. So it's a matter of finding that one person or that one production company that has the bravery and the vision to understand that an aggressive, optimal presentation of this game could, within a month or two, change the whole face of the country. And the track record of that is any kind of product that anybody has ever put on the media that has not even had even the tenth of the quality of handball, but they can sell it because it's out there and it's aggressive in the way that the media has been aggressive. The shooting of handball exists in a larger framework of history and what has happened in history. How people experience life to a much larger degree than anybody is willing to admit or understand or to see the consequences of is their relation with the media. And the thing that is happening right now is that the imperial structure of national network TV is breaking up. A person can watch 20 to 30 channels in a metropolitan area now. And that means there is room for somebody to shoot handball or something comparable to handball and to literally change the face of how people think about handball or sports or anything else. There's this kind of radical and revolutionary character to media in the very place where you would not expect it.
Shooting indoor handball, does that pose any problems specifically?
Tremendous. The lighting's awful. You don't get the kind of back and front lighting that you need. The lighting comes from above, so you get tremendous shadows anytime anybody moves. There's no lighting from the sides. The lighting in general is not very good. The sound is echoey. Otherwise, there are no problems.
Do you have any questions? I think that we covered all the angles that we wanted to get.
Now,
One Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. Hit the pause button. 3 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. Go ahead. 1 Mississippi.
That's good, right?
2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. 10 Mississippi, okay. Let me know when I'll see when you've paused. When you pause, I'll pause.
Now, okay, you gotta go slow now, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Stop. After about 8 seconds, we'll pause it. Go ahead.
You see me in the background there?
Oh, that's why you wanted that shot. Right, give it an extra count of 2 seconds, because I really fucked up here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.